The three types of variables. A variable is something that can change in an experiment. Challenge. Name one thing that can be changed in this flower experiment. Pause the video now and record the answer on your worksheet. You can change the type of flower, the color of the water, the amount of water, and even how long the flowers stay in the water. In a fair test, you can only test one variable at a time. All other variables must stay the same. Challenge. In a race, name one variable that must stay the same to make it fair. Pause the video now and record the answer on your worksheet. Variables that must stay the same include the start time, where you start, and the distance you have to run. The only thing that's going to be different are the runners and how quickly they run the race. Practice. If you're trying to figure out which of the three cereals you like the best, name one variable that needs to stay the same. Pause the video now and record the answer on your worksheet. Remember, you can only change or test one variable. Everything else must stay the same. So, the amount of cereal has to be the same, the type of milk has to be the same, even the amount of milk has to stay the same. There are three types of variables. The first one is known as the independent. That's the one that's going to be changing. It's the cause. It's also known as the manipulated variable. The amount of water in this experiment is the independent variable. The dependent variable is the one that we're trying to find, the effect. It's what we're measuring, also known as the responding variable. In this experiment, how much the plant will grow is dependent on how much water it receives. The controlled variable is the one that stays the same. It never changes. The type of plant, the amount of sunlight, even the type of soil that we use has to stay the same. Remember, we can only change one thing, and that's the amount of water in the experiment. Here's a dog food challenge. Can you identify the independent, dependent, and controlled variables? Pause the video now and record your answers on your worksheet. The independent variable is a type of dog food, wet or dry. The dependent variable is which one the dog is going to like better. And the controlled variables include the dog has to stay the same, the amount of food you give has to stay the same, and you want to give the dog the foods at the same time. Now use your graph to answer the following questions. What is the independent and dependent variable? Remember, the independent is always found on the x-axis and the dependent is always found on the y. Pause the video now and record your answer on your worksheet. What is the independent and dependent variable on this graph? Pause and answer. Can you identify the independent and dependent variable on this graph? Pause and answer. Rome wants to know how the amount of sunlight a plant gets affects how tall the plant grows. What's the independent and dependent variable in this scenario? Pause and answer. What is the independent and dependent variable in this scenario, where Zaylin is trying to figure out how much fertilizer will affect how her roses will grow? Pause and answer. Check with your teacher to see if your answers are correct. If you paid attention, I'm sure they will be.